evening, and welcome to another edition of Beyond the Book. I am so glad you all have dropped in, stopped by on this magnificent Monday. It is so good to see you. I appreciate you guys. Love you, love you, love you as usual. Just a FYI and a reminder today we are having a special guest. We are not doing Romans chapter 7, that will be held till next week. So we've been going through the book of Romans all month long, and we have now come to chapter 7, which I hope you all have been doing your homework. If not, you got time. Y'all got double time to look up your words. Make sure y'all look up all your words because it might be a pop quiz. Y'all know. You never know with me. It just might be a pop quiz. So look up your words. Be prepared in the Greek, okay? And don't forget to use your resources on how to use your Strong's exhaustive concordance. So we're going to do that next Monday. We'll jump right back in the game. Give you guys time if you haven't already. We'll give you time to be prepared for a study next Monday. I love you guys. You're amazing. So tonight we're going to have Raven Moody with us. And I'm just going to give you a little backdrop about Raven really quickly. So Raven Moody was raised in Indiana and obtained a degree in journalism from Indiana University. She has chosen to combine her love for writing, speaking, encouraging, and drawing people to Christ as the motivation to pursue her destiny and purpose. By day, Raven enjoys a career in finance, but spends her free time building her dreams as a Christian life coach. As a life coach, Raven helps cultivate growth through biblical strategies. She provides empowerment and resources and to hold each of her clients accountable. Raven is also an author, speaker, and minister. She is the visionary of Crooked Tiaras, which is a community of kingdom-minded women who pursue God together, thus becoming the best version of themselves and ultimately helping younger girls do the same. Their motto is Sisters Helping Sisters Become the Queens We're Called to Be. And so that's who we'll have on the show tonight. Can't wait to talk to Raven. Let's get started, guys.
We're going beyond the letters on the page, coming to a deeper understanding. We're revolutionary. We're going beyond the book. We're going beyond the book. Oh, yeah. We're going beyond the book. Going beyond the book. We're going beyond the book.
All right, guys, so let's welcome Raven. And as usual, you guys can feel free to put anything in the chat. Any questions you have, you need to direct to her. Please do so in the chat. Welcome, Raven. Glad to have you.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
And how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty well. How about yourself?
I'm good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to have you, dear. So again, tonight's guest is Raven Moody. She's the founder of Crooked Tiaras, located in the heart and soul of Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, you guys, we have been talking this past month about the things that God has put into your heart and you putting your hands to work. This is a time that God is calling us to be vigilant in our communities. He's calling us to go out and to be expressive and to show other people who Christ is. And so we've talked about this week after week after week. If you have not, well, hello, Sister Paula, glad to have you. If you have not put your hand to the plow somewhere and done the thing that God has been ministered to you in your heart that he wants to see done through your life, I am encouraging you guys to stay tuned to tonight's program, and we'll check out Raven and her not-for-profit and see if that's a place where you can be utilized, where you can grow, where you can build your community, and where you can help others out. So, Raven, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your organization and what made you decide upon Crooked Tiaras and how did that all come about?
Okay, well, Crooked Tiara started in December of 2018. And it's kind of funny because when God first gave me the name, I was like, Crooked, like that's a little bit of a negative connotation. But even though we are heirs in the kingdom of God, we're not perfect. But even though we make mistakes, we get things wrong, like it doesn't take away our crowns. It does not take away the way that God sees us. And so when God gave me the name and the vision behind it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. And so when I got it started, of course, my initial goal was for it to be a mentorship program for women and younger girls. And for the last couple years, we've been doing a lot of community service, Bible studies, different outings, movie nights, Christian, like, find a Christian movie, do a movie night together, and just other activities together. We also have a annual vision board party that we do. And I always encourage people not just to plan all of these fun, and exciting goals, but also to really ask God what it is that He has for you, and make room. Don't just say, okay, this is going to happen in this time frame, and it's going to look the way I want it to look. No, make room for God, because you just never know how He may actually bring those things to pass.
Very nice, very nice. I love about that, making room for God. And in your mentorship and in that partnership with your community, can you tell us a little bit about how do you find those prospects, your clients or those young girls, and what is the age range there?
Um, so I am pretty much, it's open to anyone above the age of 18. How normally word of mouth is actually normally how people come to me, whether it's social media posts, someone sharing, or people have said, hey, I go to this vision board party every year, you should check her out. And then I've just had people just reach out to me like, hey, no, you're young, but you just seem to be a little bit more mature in the things of God. And so people have reached out to me, and so it's grown in unexpected ways, just, by the grace of God.
Amen. That sounds wonderful. And so when you say 18 and up, is that your target audience or is that your volunteer audience?
That is the target audience. I actually, and it's really interesting because I have had teenagers come. I don't like discriminate against, any age. And so the target audience is 18 on up to millennials. That's normally who join the mentor program. But I also have quite a few women who are in their 40s, 50s, even 60s, that have chosen to participate, whether that be learning and growing themselves, or even, like I said, just helping pour into others.
That sounds wonderful. And so what kind of problem areas is your team targeting?
Things like identity in Christ, knowing your value, knowing your worth. We do a little bit of basic budgeting for people that may struggle in that area. Um, Spiritual development is a major area. I know a lot of people that have come to me have really, mainly, that's like the biggest thing, is, like I said, whether it's identity in Christ, purpose, and, like I said, just spiritual development. People that are really hungry to learn more about God and know what it really looks like to walk with God in the day-to-day life.
I think that's very important. Well, good evening, Miss Christine. Glad to have you. I think that's very important, knowing how to live that out practically.
Yes.
It's good to be a believer, but if nobody understands what that is or how to express
Yeah.
that in a day-to-day experience that matters for somebody else, not just for ourselves.
Mhm.
A friend of mine was telling me about a documentary she had seen on George Washington Carver. I had the wrong name in my head. I was like, that is not what I watched. And so I watched the documentary, and, most of us grew up learning about George Washington Carver, that he did something with peanuts, and he cultivated these peanuts, and he was an inventor, but there are a lot of things that we don't grasp from that. Well, in the documentary, it really explained that he was really a botanist, and the first African American in the United States. He was very prominent, a very prominent man. Um, of course, going to a historically black college, Tuskegee, and then ultimately, not only was he into agriculture, but he was a painter. Like he was gifted in so many areas. And I think that's really expressive as to how we as believers need to think, need to understand God has put a lot in us. And I love how, the mentorship program is bringing out the community events with, the vision board, with the fun nights, going to movies, with the Bible study. Like it is a whole person. This is how, people live every day. And that really helps us to evolve as people and understand, okay, what are some other gifts? What are some other talents? And they may not be, just so regimented, if you will, or just church stricken,
Yep.
because you live outside of church every single day. So we need to have that open mindedness. But I love how you talked about that, making room for God. And I think that's really important. They talked about um, Carver and his experience with God, and not specifically that he had visions, but he knew this was God speaking to him. He knew, when somebody was saying go straight, and he felt that the word of the Lord was saying go left or right, he was like, no, I'm going left or right. And so I think that's really, really important, especially in this day and age, to be equipped to do. So I love that. That identity and spiritual development and purpose, that helps people to narrow in on what
Mhm.
God is saying, and to focus, and to not just strive for anything, right? Because any of us can just strive for stuff. That's easy. The world does that all the time. But to be focused and striving for what God has put in you, I think that's a whole nother aspect. Now, if people want to volunteer, because my audience, a lot of my audience is in Indianapolis, and
Mhm.
so I definitely want them to have options and understand what they can do to volunteer for your
Mhm.
organization. And if you could tell me how they can volunteer, and then where do they go to volunteer?
So there are again mentorship opportunities. Um, I will do an intake of, reach out to young women. Hey, are you interested in a mentorship? If someone is interested in teaching a class, or, you have something that you're good at or that you want to pour into other women or young ladies, they can email me at raven@crookedtiaras.com to just, let me know what it is that they are um, gifted at, or what they want to help or share. If they want to lead in some type of capacity, whether it be, there's even opportunities to, if you, let's say, for instance, there's a community service project coming up. If you want to say, hey, I have a really good community service project, would you mind if I, help lead that? That's also an opportunity as well.
Very nice. Okay, you guys heard it. You heard it. Raven at crookedtiaras.com. If you want to be a participant, if you want to help cultivate young women, if you feel that you have something inside of you that can be released and poured in to other people, if you guys have not started that new thing that God has been poking you about for 2023, and He's saying, get out there, get moving, get to doing something new. Come on, guys. I need you out in this community and expressing who Jesus Christ is. If you have not made those steps that we talked about earlier, this is a great opportunity for you to do so. It's located in your hometown of Indianapolis, Indiana, and you guys will be able to be around like minded women who just need, extra support, extra care, extra mentoring, as some of you may have needed at around that age as well. So I want my community to be in the community. So, Raven, Now, how long do the women stay in the program? Is it like a one and done type of situation, or is there a progressive situation, or how does that
Um,
work?
Normally, a program is once it's done, and we'll start a new program. Um, for instance, there's like a 6 week program that starts next week. Once that's done, I'll completely start over. And if people who were in the last program want to, continue to the next program, they can do that. If not, that's okay too.
Okay.
It's not
Okay.
like a long-term commitment.
Okay. So you guys heard that. If you have young people that you know who need this, please pass that information along. Again, she's mentoring age groups 18 to 30-ish. And so if you all are familiar with anybody who is in need of a little extra TLC, which we all can be at times, just give them Raven's information and kind of send them her way, or you help and become a part of what's going on in this creative space. Now, Raven, I wanted to talk also a little bit about, you have a book,
Mhm.
and the name of your book is Growing Beyond Yesterday. Now,
Mhm.
can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Sure. So I published Growing Beyond yesterday in 2017. The basis of the book. So when I first began writing the book, it was because it actually became a memoir, which wasn't the original intent. But I really believe that family are the building blocks of society. And before you go to school, elementary school, middle school, high school, whatever, before you get out into the world, the things that are happening at home, the things that you're picking up, the patterns that you're learning, a lot of times those are things that are carried with you. And so I talk about growing up in a single parent household and how that impacted me in certain ways. I talk about finding my identity in accolades and learning to see things from godly perspective. I talk about, even share a journey of like how I hit rock bottom in college, and God used that to draw me to Him. And so I really walk through just some different areas of life where I may have struggled with some things, and how the Word of God pulled me through those things.
Wow. Wow. I just want to read a very small. See, so guys, we did not pull a book from my shelf today, but that's okay. I still got y'all covered. So I want to read a small excerpt from your book, Raven. And it says, I learned to stop placing my worth in things because education, beauty, money, clothes, etc., are nice to have, but to maintain any relationship, even a friendship, you need character. And to really know your worth and fill every void, you need Jesus Christ. So I was like,
Yeah,
quote
learning
of the
how.
night. Okay, quote of the night. Well, thanks, guys. Okay, YouTube family, I see you on here. They're giving you shout outs, Raven, telling
Oh,
you to
thank
keep
you,
up the good work. Happy
guys.
Monday, Maya. Glad to have you. And so your book is even geared toward that same perspective for
Mhm.
young women, to understand that it's not all about what you see on Instagram, right? It's
Mhm.
not all about what you're seeing on Snapchat and those picture perfect photos
Mhm.
that we see all the time, and people just look glamorous
Yep.
all the time. I just woke up looking like this. Like, sure. Yeah. Right. And so, sometimes we strive for those things. We look for those things to give us validation, to give us perspective. Uh, I know that, it's really important that we not measure ourselves. That's what the scriptures tell us. Don't measure yourself. And so we shouldn't be measuring ourselves by anybody else's standard,
Yep.
only by the standard of what God says, who we are and how we are to live our lives and to, complete our purpose in Him. And that's between He and I, not the whole entire world.
Right.
And so I think that's really important, that comment that you made, and to really know your worth and fill every void, you need Jesus Christ. And that is just a handful and a mouthful. Sometimes I think we push away from, the things of God, not understanding that it's more good for us. It's like life to the marrow, to the bone. It's like pushing away the things and, those healthy foods that we should eat. And we're like, no, I'd rather not be bothered with that. I just have a donut or something, just to kind of pleasure ourselves for the moment. But God is consistently calling us for something higher, for something more. And I just like to encourage our audience with that, understanding that God is perpetually on the move. And this is a season and a time, even in history, where God is saying, there is more for you. There is so much more. So we are not to be so rigid. Raven said earlier, see, I write down the good stuff. Raven said earlier, make room for God. And I think we even talked about that last week on our program, but just being open to the things that God is saying. And it might not look like you thought it was going to look. It might not feel like you thought it was going to feel. The plan may not be going the way you had outlined it in your brain that it was going to go, but that does not negate that it's God's plan. Usually it kind of clarifies that, oh, this is the way of the Lord. Because if it wasn't, you wouldn't be going down that road. Believe you me. So, yeah. And I know the Growing Beyond Yesterday. Again, that's the name of the book. It is available on Amazon. Also, it is on paperback and there's a Kindle version. So if you guys are interested in that, you head on over to Amazon.com because I know y'all got the app on your phone. So you just click on the app. It's also available on Raven's website. And so the link is available there. You just click that, takes you right on over to Amazon. And again, y'all know y'all got your card already stored in Amazon and it's on your phone. So no excuses, no excuses. So, Raven, can you tell me about maybe some of the challenges that you're facing and you're finding as reoccurring issues that you see from class to class or from group to group?
I would say the biggest thing that I've learned, that I've realized, is I think a lot of people have grown up in the church and they know what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do, but they're really wanting to find out, what does it really look like to walk with God day to day. I was listening to a podcast that talked about what discipleship really is, and it's learning not only to just follow Jesus, but to really walk with him and showing others how to walk with Jesus. And so a lot of people, that's what they're hungry for. So many people realize that they need something more, that the pleasures of this world is just not enough. And so it's like, okay, I know I need God, but how do I walk with them? What does that look like? I don't just want to live by rules. I don't want to shouting is good, but I don't just want to shout every Sunday and go home and my life is still the same. And so yeah, that's the biggest thing, is people really want to know what it looks like to walk with God.
Okay, and then how are you applying that in a practical manner for them? Answering that question for them.
I think a lot of people make it a lot harder than it really has to be, because you can find God in the day-to-day things. Like God literally, and it's so funny, God had been speaking to me about my business, and out of nowhere, I see a license plate that says Deuteronomy 8:18. He gives us the power to create wealth. Literally, God can speak to us in the smallest ways, but he can also speak to you in the biggest ways. And so, but I think learning to apply that is being intentional about looking. I think we get so busy just going throughout our day-to-day lives that we miss God moments because we're so busy. We're on our God can literally send someone at a grocery store. Either you speak to them and give them an encouraging word, or vice versa. You just never know how God is using you or even other people. And so I think people just need to slow down and really be expectant, and because God will absolutely show you himself. You just have to slow down and be intentional about really looking for him in your day-to-day life.
Well, I think that was a mouthful, and I'd just like to let our audience know, if you all have any questions for Raven, feel free to put that in the chat, and she'll be more than happy to address those. Um, I love that. Don't miss those God moments. And that phrase moment is just that. It's like a snap in time, right? It's a click up, you click the camera. That's a moment. And many of us are always busy. We're on the run, we're on the go. We are looking for something oftentimes. And so a lot of times we're missing those very small moments. And those moments lead up to very big things. And I do want to say this too, because I understand that some of us have had wounded backgrounds and things have happened to us coming up into adulthood and into this stage. And so in this stage, we have our own idea of what that picture looks like. Well, having that own idea, that's one thing, but we can come to God's idea. And so it reminds me again about George Washington Carver. I just watched this yesterday. So it's like, kind of still stewing on it. But he was an artist, he was an educator, a humanitarian, he was a scientist, he was a professor, a leader, like a geologist, he was a poet, he was a biblical scholar. I mean, Henry Ford was coming to him and asking him questions about, plants and trying to figure out how they could use that in their business for automobiles. Einstein was trying to get him to come and work for him, and it was just all of this ability, the same ability that we have. And yes, I believe he was noted as a genius. However, I believe that God's creative ability that is in us is just as ingenious. And we just haven't always tapped into those things because of those things that have happened to us in the past and that have slowed our progress, if you will. However, I do want to encourage our audience that Jesus Christ is the creator, right? And so he is creating, making new passageways. He is making all things become brand new. And Raven said it, don't miss those God moments. In those God moments, he is making a newness in your heart, in your life, in your environment, in those moments. And so we must utilize that. We must lean into that. We making room for God, right? She mentioned that, making room for God. So we have to lean into those moments to make that room for him so we can experience him in that depthness and in that place of him being experienced through us. And I think that was one of the things that impressed me about George Washington Carver's life, is that he used all of his life for God. Like, he didn't just say, I'm just a botanist. That wasn't the sum of him. He was a beautiful painter. Like, he was really a great artist and poet. And so all of those creativity, and I want to encourage our audience about those things that God has planted in you. Just start with the things that you know. If you start with the things that you know, the rest of that creativity can begin to have some life to it. The roots are, undone and shaken up. And so they get watered, they get moved around, and then they can begin to prosper and grow. And even though those things came against you as a young person, that which the enemy meant for evil, God turns for good. And so as we, like Raven said, make room for God, and we don't miss those God moments, then it allows that ground to be broken up and God's presence to be eluded in us and him express himself through us. And so I just think that's so important. I believe what you are doing in the community, Raven, is important with young women. I think people oftentimes just need, a little boost. Sometimes we all just need a little help, a little nudge, little tug, little, I got you, girl, grab you by the arm and bring you on in, because I got you. I'm not going to let you slip. I'm not going to let you fall. And that's one thing that I admire about the ministry that you have, is you are not only, you're not saying I have the seat, I have the chair, but you're inviting other people into that same place. And you're saying, we have the seat, we have the chair. Now, how can we work together to build something for our community? How can we work together and give to our community to support the community and make it better and to raise up young people who are strong in the faith, full of the word, full of the Holy Ghost? That's my favorite piece out of Acts. So I think that this is just a right time, the right place, the right season that God is moving and doing these things, not only in your life, but you're able to touch and affect those other people and it be used in their lives. I want to put this up again so you guys can see how to get in touch with Raven. Crooked Tiaras is the name of her non-for-profit. You can reach her at ravenmoody.com. And again, she has a book, Growing Beyond Yesterday. Now, Raven, let me ask you really quick, who is this book specifically written for? What is your target audience and who would best benefit from that purchase?
I actually would say probably teenagers all the way up until the millennial age group. It really was written pretty much to, when I wrote it, I'm like, since I cannot go back and help my younger self who in my teens, in my 20s, since I can't go back in time and help myself, let me be a beacon of hope for other young women. Especially, growing up in a broken home and, finding my identity and accolades and relationships and all of that. Like, I'm not the only one that's gone through that. And so I wanted to just share with other young women who may be in those, like I said, preteens all the way up to, millennial age range, that you're not the only one. And just the same as I came through it and I'm still growing and learning in Christ, they can as well.
Sure. That sounds wonderful. Now, you guys hear that. So if you're past that age, that's okay because you know somebody who is not. You know a younger version of you, or you have a little sister, or you have, grands, or you have a little cousin or somebody y'all know. And so y'all can get the book for them and y'all can help support and bring some vision for some young people, right? So one of our audience has a question: where are your classes or seminars located?
They are all online. And I do that because not everyone who participates is actually in the state of Indiana. And so I open that up to people all across the United. Anyone who can get on Zoom is more than welcome to participate in the mentorship classes.
And then do you have a local class as well, or it's only online?
The classes are always online.
Okay.
If anyone who's interested in the other activities, like I said, whether it's community service, we'll be going to Noah's Ark this year. The vision board parties, those events are always local, but the mentorships are always online. Also, that helps. I also noticed I seem to draw a lot of mothers as well. So that allows them to be at home and, not have to come out with, kids and make sure they eat before they, all of that. So I try to, accommodate by doing them online.
Okay, that sounds wonderful. So you guys can get in touch with Raven via email, or you can contact Crooked Tiaras. And if you want to participate in the activities, now the classes and the seminars are online. However, if you want to participate in the activities, you can go to her website and check that out, or ravenmoody.com. And thereby she will be able to assist you in understanding what you have to do to get involved a little bit further. Now, why don't you tell me a little bit about the life coach aspect and the services you provide there?
It kind of parallels with Crooked Tiara. So I became a life coach in 2020. And the goal was to go beyond just mentorship, but to really get deeper down into, okay, there's something I'm working on. I have a goal. I have something in my life that I'm just like, man, I really need to work on this. So as a life coach, my job is to figure out what obstacles may keep you from getting to that goal or accomplishing whatever it is, or overcoming something. So we identify what obstacles there may be, and then we together come up with a plan. And I hold my clients accountable to get to the desired results. And it's not a, hey, I'm going to give you advice. I'm going to tell you what to do. It's more so like, okay, as a life coach, I'm going to come alongside you. I'm going to hold you accountable. We're going to, face the obstacles, head on, and then we're going to make sure that you get to that desired result, whether it's, again, whether it's a goal, whether it's you're trying to overcome something. So.
And about how long generally are those sessions for that life coach session?
Life coach sessions, I have two options. I have a 6-week and an 8-week, just to, again, so it's not a long-term commitment. I do have people that have continued to go, longer, but normally it's either a 6-week program or 8-week program.
Okay, so you guys heard that 6-week or 8-week program, ravenmoody.com. And what type of fee are they looking at for, or do they reach out to you?
Reach out. The prices are on my website. The 8-week program is at a discounted rate, but if you go to ravenmoody.com and you look at the coaching/mentoring tab, it'll tell you the price for both programs.
Okay, wonderful. So, and is there a certain age range for the mentoring aspect?
No, what I'd actually do, instead of capping or, setting a limit or a ceiling or a floor as far as ages, what I normally do is I just do a free consultation first to even see if I am able to assist with the need, and then we go from there.
Okay, sounds wonderful. You guys heard it right here. Okay, so you guys can check her out at ravenmoody.com and check out the tab for life coach so you can be more aware, more informed. So, Raven, do you have any upcoming events that our audience should know about?
Yes, Crooked Tiaras is having a community service event on April 8th. It'll be from 8:15 to about 12 p.m. We are partnering with Gleaners Food Bank. So if you are interested in volunteering, you need some community service hours, you just want to really give back, also feel free to reach out at raven@crookedtiaras.com. Email me. There's Facebook pages, Instagram pages. Reach out to me in whatever capacity, and I'll be more than willing to give you the information on how to sign up and the date, the address, all of that.
I'm sorry, and what time was that? You said April 8th?
Yes, April 8th at 8. It begins at 8:15 a.m.
Okay, guys, I put that in the chat. So you have a volunteer opportunity there. For those of you who are getting your feet wet and you guys are stretching out in your calling and you are doing those things that God has placed in your heart, where he has said, put your hand to the plow this year, and you guys have made a commitment and you said, yes, Lord, send me, I will go. And so for those of you who are still looking for an opportunity, you haven't been able to set something, in stone yet. Remember, we're not doing New Year's resolutions. We are kingdom building. And so here's another kingdom building opportunity for you to participate at Gleaners. I know I always loved going to Gleaners and helping there. It's April 8th, 2023 at 8:15 a.m. Excuse me. And if you have any questions for the logistics, please reach out to Raven at ravenmoody.com and she will be able to assist you. You guys can email her and she'll let you know all the details, where you need to be and what you need to do, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So please jump in. Feel free to do that. And you guys just participate. We are putting our hand to the plow in 2023. We will not be undersold. We will not let the devil do more than we're going to do this year. We are going to outdo him, and we are going to tear his kingdom down just by our good works, glorifying our Father which is in heaven. So you guys know the drill. You know how this works. Again, we have been studying the book of Romans. We've gone all the way up to chapter 6 thus far. And as you know, we've talked about how It's not about the law. It's not about following rules. It's not about doing all of these things. But Jesus Christ has sent his grace to cover where we could not do, where we have fallen short, where sin has abounded. His grace abounds even much more. And so, in receiving that grace, in receiving not being prodded by works, we do the works because we love God. We do the works because we honor him. We do the works because community needs us, right? He tells us to honor the widows, the fatherless, and those in need, the poor. So where do we start? We start at places that need gleaners. That's a great place to start, right? We start at hospitals, we start at jails, we start at where people are bound, where there is a deprivation of some sort. And so I am encouraging you as our audience to stretch out, to move out, to blend out, right? And you guys are taking this nation by storm, because it only takes a few of us to stick together to make a difference. And that one, we're all saying we will stand as a community in the kingdom of God, and we will do it together. And so I encourage you that we are not just going to be hearers of the word. We're not just going to learn what the word says. We're not just going to learn what the word means, but we're going to actually turn around and then we're going to do the word. So I encourage you all to be doers of the word this year, to actually take what we've been learning and implement it. Right? Do the work in your hands. And why are we doing it? Because we love God. We're doing it because we love God, not because this means he loves us back or this is our salvation road or anything like that. You've been redeemed by the blood of the Lamb, the end. Other than that, you're just going to give back to God because you love him very much and he loves you back. All right. So, Raven, I am really excited. I'm so glad that you were able to spend time with us tonight. Thank you so much. It's been great. Does our audience have any questions for Raven? This would be a great time to put that in there. Let me know. I'll give you guys a second because I know sometimes we're on a little time delay. But I'm so glad and thankful that you were able to come out with us today. Just want to make sure I got everything. Um, don't forget her upcoming event, April 8th, 2023, 8:15. All right. Okay, YouTubers. These YouTubers are just chiming in tonight. All right, y'all. All right. So don't forget April 8th, 2023 at 8:15, Gleaners Food Bank. Great opportunity for some volunteerism and showing the love of Jesus Christ. We love you guys. Raven, thank you so much for stopping by. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your talent. I appreciate you giving to the work of the kingdom. And as usual, you guys know that you are a revolution. You are a forcible overthrow of the kingdom of darkness, initiating and executing the kingdom of heaven by faith. I can't wait to see you guys next time. And so I guess my final question would be, Raven, what is it that you would like people to walk away from when they have encountered you, when they've encountered your space, when they've encountered the mentoring program, that life coaching program, even reading the book? What is that takeaway there?
I think just the theme throughout just my life and people interacting with me has always been for people to know that all things work together for the good of them that love God and are called according to his purpose. I stand on Romans 8:28, and I always want people to know that no matter what happens in life, good, bad, indifferent, that God will use it for your good. He will use it for his glory, and you can just keep going. You can find hope in the fact that everything has to work together for your good. And so yeah, I would say that is something that is a theme for me.
So yeah, I was trying to be fast typing freedom over here. I was trying to type in what she was saying. So great. I love that. You guys take that away. All things work together for good for those that love God and those who are called according to his purpose. I know sometimes things are a little sketchy sometimes. They feel a little rough. You're getting beat up by the storm, the wind, and the rains. However, I love what she said. Don't give up. Hold on. Keep pressing. keep moving, because things will always change. Nothing ever stays the same. They will always change. Eventually, they will always change. So keep going. Raven, you keep up the good work. I appreciate your time. I appreciate we send you the love. It was so glad to have you. You guys
Thank
have a great night. Happy Monday to you all. Miss you. I love you guys so much. You're an amazing audience. Can't wait to see you guys next time.
you for having me.